back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Jason Balin from Hard Money Bankers, co-host Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse. We have another great guest lined up for you today. We're going to introduce him here in a second. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We certainly appreciate the support, and I promise we will put on a great show for you for the next 30 minutes or so. If you're a return viewer, follower, listener, watcher, supporter, thanks so much. Couldn't do it without you. This show has grown substantially over the years, and we just appreciate all the support. And Ian and I will promise to continue to not only provide great content, but bring on great guests that are doing real deals for all of us in the real estate investment community.
Yeah, no, this show has grown into its own little giant, which is fun and exciting. And guys, with that, we are bringing in guests that are real people, just like you and me, out here doing deals, showing people how to do deals. We're not bringing in gurus or bringing in people that are actually active in real estate. So with that, we don't really care about the likes or subscribes, but we do care about the shares. It's the best compliments we can give our guests. So if you enjoy this, you learn something from it, please feel free to give it a share. We're recording this literally a week before June, and we are still wearing hoodies, which is nuts. But you know what? That's the weather that it brings. So hopefully Dustin, we're going to bring in here, can bring us some sunshine. And let's bring Dustin in and talk about some real estate.
Dustin, how are you?
I'm blessed, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I love the shirt, Successfully Unemployed. People ask me all the time. They're like, what do you do? I said, my goal is just to stay unemployed every single day. That's my only goal in life.
Absolutely. When I quit my job, I was 37 years old. I had enough real estate bringing me in passive income and cash flow every single month that I quit. And then I was telling people I was retired, and people would look at me so dumbfounded, being 37 years old, like, what do you do with your life? And so I had to come up, actually, my wife came up with the term successful unemployed, another way to tell people that I'm not working for somebody else. And I found another way to provide for my family.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's a great way to look at it. People think unemployed and they think it's a bad thing. This show actually started during COVID, literally the day that COVID happened. Take the politics out of it, right? It happened. Everybody's going through something that day, and they're trying to figure it out. So the day it got shut down, we brought on all of our friends. Jason, I mean, God, how many people we have? We were live literally for 8 hours straight on like March 16th or something. And we went through everybody, just asking them what they're seeing in the business. And a common theme, I think, that Jason and I kept bringing up was like, man, this is the time to go out and grind and work on your business when everyone else is sleeping. They want to play the games with the mask. They want to stay at home. They don't want to do business. They want to do this. They want to do that. Fine. We're going to go out and grow our business. And I mean, COVID I think both Jason and I were one of the biggest growth periods for both of our businesses, whether it was a better portfolio or it was being able to acquire deals because people were sitting on the sidelines being scared and just not wanting to do business. So I love that you coined the term successfully unemployed. So how did you become unemployed? Let's talk about that. Let's talk.
Yeah. So I started investing back in 2006, just kept buying property after property. Eventually now have 30 plus properties, short-term, mid-term, long-term, 750 rental apartments, units that we have, hotels I am also invest in. But I didn't start that way. In fact, let me quickly share what really shoved me into becoming a real estate investor. So I got the most stable, secure job you could ever think of because I wasn't taught to invest. They were just, really rather poor family. But I got a job at the local county government doing IT, technology. Is in California. And so stable. California's not going away. Technology is not going away. And government's definitely not going away. So I get a sit-down desk job, but I bought one rental property. And it was in 2006, bought my first property and started making me money. And I realized, my goodness, I need to be an investor. But you know what happens? Life starts getting in the way. My wife and I starts having kids. And this is really what just pushed me over the deep end. I had to invest. So my wife and I started having kids. Eventually we had our fourth child. And we had our fourth child. I went on paternity leave. That's where the dad stays home with the mom, changes poopy diapers and all the good stuff, bonds with the baby. Well, after 2 weeks, I go back to work. And in that same week, I go back to work on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. And she says, Dustin, would you please come to the office? I said, sure. And I hung up the phone. I paused for a second. I thought, why in the world are they calling me the office? Like, this isn't normal. And I've seen plenty of movies. Friday at 3:30 is not a good sign. And then I was also remembering a couple months before I went on paternity leave, there were some rumors or some rumbling going on in the county that there could potentially be layoffs. But I immediately shook it off. I said, there's no way. I got lots of seniority here. My bosses think I do a great job. Shook it off. And I started walking to my boss's office. Well, I start walking down the hallway to his office, and this hallway isn't very long. In fact, it's kind of short, but every single step I took feels like the hallway got longer and longer and longer. And it felt like my feet became lead bricks because the thought of potentially losing my job was starting to crush down on me. Well, I get down the hallway and I turn the corner and I see his door. His door is closed, and I see his secretary there, super sweet, nice old lady. And she says, Dustin, would you please have a seat? So I go and I take my seat, and she's trying to console me with her eyes, trying to sheepishly grinning at me because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. Well, I go and I take my seat, and I start thinking about my life. If I get laid off right now, does this entire plan that I was told, everybody, we're all taught, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get in thousands and thousands of dollars into debt, then work your life away, 70 years old. Well, if I get laid off, did I just waste my life following this plan that other people told me? And then oh my goodness, we just had our fourth kid. If I can't feed my family, does that make me a failure as a father? Does that make me a failure as a husband, as a man trying to provide for his family? Well, as I'm sitting there, my hands get all clammy, my forehead gets all sweaty because the nerves are just crushing me. Then the door to my boss's office opens up, and out walks a coworker of mine with a piece of paper in her hands. She's noticeably distraught, noticeably upset. She's not necessarily crying, but you can tell her world has just been devastated. She passes by me, and my boss says, Dustin, would you please come to the office? So I get up and I go into his office, and I get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off from the government, but I did. And this is the reason why I tell the story. So I walk back to my desk, and I realized two things sitting there in my desk, just getting laid off. Number one, I need to get another job. I need to be able to provide for my family. So I was really blessed, praise the Lord, to find another job in the same county. Another department wasn't having those issues. Check. Then the second thing, sitting in the desk, just getting laid off, I realized I need to make sure this never, ever happens to me again. I need to make sure that nobody can take away my ability to feed my family. So right then and there, I started telling every single person, I am an investor. Now, it may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job. That's now my part-time job. I'm a full-time investor. So I'll fast forward the story. Started buying property after property after property, each one making me $250, $350, $500, $600 a month in passive income. Eventually, I had 30 plus properties, and I thought, why am I working here? So the last part of the story, I went to my new boss, good boss and all. I said, I'm laying you off, jokingly. And we both laughed. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't have to do a thing. I own real estate that makes me money without working. The last quick part of the story, I would walk to and from my car to my job is downtown, 1.5 miles every single day. I've done it 1,000 times. The last time walking, I felt like I was walking on clouds because I knew I would never, ever need a job again. And everybody listening, if you're listening, you need to realize your boss will never pay you what you're worth. In fact, you're worth so much more than anybody could ever pay you. And this is all you'll know. Your boss is paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much money that takes money out of their pocket. If they paid you what you're worth, they would go broke. So what I suggest is finding a way to make money, and not an active income where you're selling your life, but in passive or cash flow where you work one time, get paid over and over again. So I'll pause the story because you guys probably got plenty of questions.
Yeah, great story. Great story. So, okay. Was your first real estate property purchased after that first layoff or before that first layoff?
Before 2006.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what got you into buying that first property, and like why? You're like you said, you already had a stable job. You already were comfortable where you were at. Like, why? How did you even have that, intuition to like, oh, I need to invest in real estate, because you already seem to be in a good spot?
Totally. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. My brother gave it to me, and I said, wow, there's such a thing as active income and passive income, because we're only taught active income. Like, you sell your life away. You sell your time. The summation of your time is your life. So you're just selling your life away. And so I read that book, and then I said, I got to do something. But then, when you're an employee, what you do is you watch TV and you go to work. You watch TV and you go to work. So I was watching a late night infomercial came on, and the real estate gurus said, hey, we're coming to your town, free 2-hour seminar. So I was like, great. So I went to that 2-hour seminar, and it was horrible. It was all hype, all sales pitch. And they said, now run to the back. It's normally $1 million, but it's like, $10,000, $20,000 today. So I got suckered into that. Now, at the same time, I realized that I got to put this to work. So that got me, I bought one property. I was living in California at the time. I bought my first rental property in Ohio, of all places, in 2006. And I did it wrong. And well, when I say I did it wrong, I followed the gurus, but the gurus just tell you, just go buy a property and then hope to find somebody to manage it. Well, I did that. My property manager started stealing from me in 6 months. So that's where I took my eye off the ball, because like, oh, this just doesn't work. But the second property really helped me to build a business so that I would have experts making sure I did everything right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's 100% the way it is. And I have a somewhat similar journey. I was a fireman for the city of Baltimore. Same thing. You take this government job, you're expecting security. And I don't know how it was for you, buying that first property. I luckily had some success on my first property, right? Because I bought something in the ghetto. It was close to us. It was super low basis, something that I could afford. But I just remember all the guys at work talking so much shit, dude. Like, we're in a type A personality, bunch of grown men hanging around a kitchen table with nothing else to do but to bust balls. You're going to be a ghetto slumlord. You're going to be like all these crappy houses that we go in. Like where I worked, we worked like literally where the wire was. And this guy at this firehouse got screwed. This happened, that happened. There were so many negative people. I don't know how that was for you on your first few deals, but if it was, how did you overcome, or how do you overcome that in your life and be able to continue on knowing that you're doing what's right for you?
Yeah. So I didn't tell anybody. My wife and I were pretty, I guess, reserved. Like we didn't want to tell anybody, especially anybody at work. And so we didn't tell anybody. We just kept buying properties. But this is really what happened. So that first property, my property manager started stealing from me within 6 months because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just following those quote unquote gurus. And what I decided was that I needed to build a business that I bought real estate that I could put in my business. Let me give you a quick example of what that be. And this is how I was able to scale from the first property to the second property. So if you're going to start a convenience store, candy bars, soda machines, all the good stuff, well, you're not going to sign a lease on a location, open the doors and set a box of candy bars in our ground. You wouldn't do that. You go out of business in 2 seconds. But what you would do is you would build the business first. You get the gondolas, those are shelving units, all the candy bars go on, the countertops, cold storage, bank accounts, cash registers, insurance, employees, everything in the business before you buy any inventory. When just like in real estate, you buy the property after you build the business and that property. In fact, the 30 plus single family homes that I have, the apartment complexes, hotels, like I view those as inventory that I put into my business. So I don't have to guess if I'm buying the right property. I don't buy the property unless the experts that I hire that are on there in the ground or on the ground in that city where I invest in 5 states now: Ohio, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, and Indiana. And in all of these, I have the experts make sure that I buy the right property. Because remember, that first property didn't work out very well. The second property, I built the business first. I made sure I found all the experts in the area that I would need. And then I made sure, instead of calling a property manager, hey, property manager, I bought this property, we manage it. And they tell you no, because it's they say, hey, no, I won't do it because I'll get shot there. Well, you no longer have an asset, you have a liability. So it's so much better. In fact, all my students, I've coached thousands of students now, get that question all the time. Well, Dustin, what do I do? And so instead, what we do is we build a business and we have the experts where we call them and say, I'm looking to buy. Not, I already bought this property, spent thousands of dollars buying it, $1,000 fixing it up, all that sort of stuff. You say, I'm looking to buy this property. Tell me how much will it rent for? What's the vacancy factor? What's the clientele like? Will you manage it? Well, if they tell you no, then you don't waste your time and money on that property. You go and find the better areas and better properties. But if they tell you yes, then you just analyze it. You make sure you're making money in passive income. I suggest $200, $300, $500, $600 a month in passive income. Try not to go below $250 a month in passive income. But that was after my first property where I didn't do it right. Then the second property, I realized I had a system. And so now, like I said, invest in 5 different states because I built the business first, and then the business makes sure I buy the right real estate. Does it all make sense?
It does. Did you focus on one asset class first? Build that
my
up?
bread and butter is residential. Definitely 4 units and below. I bought all of them. So 4 units and below. I do it in my sleep. I literally wake up, think, oh, I just bought another property. Oh, shoot, I didn't. So I've done it so many times now that really so much more simple than I thought it from the beginning, but than anybody else. In fact, I have my own podcast, YouTube channel, and the most downloaded or listened or watched episodes for Master Passive Income are finding and funding, how to get money for a property, how to find. That's by far. Now, how to run the business, how to make sure you're making money every single month, how to take care of your property managers, make sure they're doing right. That's what they need to know, but they go after the finding and funding. And so if you realize how many different ways there are to get financing, like just talking to you guys are lenders. There are so many people that want to let you use their money to make them money and make you money. And so I've personally coached, I don't know, like I said, thousands of students now, but like 16 or 17 different ways to get access to capital, access to that money. And then once you have the ability to get financing, then the next step is making sure that you have a deal. And the finding properties are so simple. I mean, you guys know, like, Ian, I know you have a couple hundred properties. I mean, finding the deals are not that hard, especially if people know you as an investor. I got so many properties. In fact, we just closed on a property in Chattanooga, 325 unit apartment complex. It was because people know me as an investor that the deal came to us, me and 3 other general partners. And so what I love is when you build a business, tell every single person that you know that you're an investor, then deals come your way, money comes your way, contacts, and everybody comes your way.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. You know, we had trouble for a long time telling people that we're real estate investors. There's still some times where I was like, oh, well, I was a fireman. I retired through real estate, rather than just being like, yeah, I'm a real estate investor, right? And I don't know, I've been reading some mental stuff on like, you know, it's more comforting to the body to be dismissive than it is to necessarily live in what's going on. So, you know, I understand that. But yeah, the same thing is, you know, we still get guys in the fire department that reach out. We just wholesaled a house recently. Hey, uncle died, you know, what's it worth? Here you go, done. Take it off your hands. We keep it moving. So, you know, it is good to be known for that. It is good to be known to be active and that you're out there, and you got to wear your heart on your sleeve, you know, and you have the advantage of being an authority figure. You know, we talk a lot about the benefits of this real estate, the benefits of when we ran a meetup group, the benefits of just being in the right room with the right people at the right time, I think goes a very, very long way. And I don't think people realize how important it is, because a lot of people look at it and say, oh, this guy's just Dustin or Ian or Jason just trying to sell me something. I said, well, yes, but when you are in the room with like-minded individuals, and it can't be an echo chamber either, right? Because I worked in an echo chamber. Everybody thought the same stuff. Screw them, screw this, whatever. And we all got in this thing, and nobody could let it go, and there was no voice of reason. But when you're in the right room of people that's going to challenge you to make a correction in your life, I think that is one of the most powerful things you can do. Some people do it through the religious way. Some people do it through golf. Some people do it through masterminds. There's a whole slew of things that you can do to enjoy that experience. What have you seen, not only for yourself, but your students or people that are part of your community, and how they've accelerated success by being a part of a group?
Yeah, when I first started, I wasn't telling any of my coworkers. I would tell people the outside, like as I was investing. And then eventually I realized it was hurting me by not telling more and more people. And so now that's what I try to help all my students to realize is you don't have to have a scarcity mindset where you think the world's out to get you. There's not enough properties, because that's how I first, and it was just hard going. Now, my students, because we now try to have an abundance mindset, there's so many properties out there. Let's all work together. Let's all help each other out. And when you do that, then you have so many more opportunities because you're helping other people. They're helping you. And what I found is there are 2 ways to get into the right room, because I think you're 100% right, Ian. When you get around the right people, and it's not that you know them. It doesn't matter if you know them. It only matters if they know you and they want to help you, if you're serving them and helping them. So there's only 2 ways to get into the right room. Number 1, you work your tail off, and it takes a lot of time and effort to get into that right room. That's what I did, and it took a lot of time. Or you can pay to get in the right room. Now I'm a little bit older, hopefully wiser. I would gladly pay a lot of money. In fact, I just paid 50 grand to be in a mastermind a couple months ago. It's a year-long mastermind, 50 grand to be inside that, because I know this is going to fast track success. my students who join my course now, literally everything, like my podcast, it's a solo show. 90%, 95% is just me since 2016, just teaching how to do this, just telling people it's master passive income. Just go there and get everything for free. My books, I give them away for free. My YouTube channel, like you guys, like we just give away so much content. But if you want to fast track your success, if you don't want, here's the thing. It took me 9 years to become financially independent by investing in real estate. My students are doing it in 3 and 4 years because all of my mistakes, because I learned on my own, they're learning from my mistakes. And I love the quote, proverb, whatever, saying that a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. And so now, if you get into the right room, or if you make sure that you're around the right people that are doing it, then it's going to fast track you, because their successes you're going to learn from, their failures you're also going to learn from.
What do you think the natural projection is for, let's say you're a real estate investor, you're ambitious, you want to get going on things. Do you think it makes sense to, learn everything you can immediately, start doing, when's the right time to hire a coach or consultant? When's the right time to get into a room with like-minded people, mastermind? Because there's always a right place and a right time. And, we run a fairly large private lender mastermind group, and there's folks that just aren't ready for some of the higher level stuff. They'd like to be, they want to be around people that have $100 million funds that they're lending out regularly, but like they're at 5 million, and people at a $5 million portfolio have different needs and problems and challenges than a $1 million portfolio. Like, what do you think the trajectory is for a lot of these folks? Because a lot of people are like, I'm just going to put my head down, work, and grind and learn on the job. But at some point, you do need to, like you said, throw money at something in order to accelerate the process.
Yeah. So what I've found is that people, because I get a lot of people coming to me, hey, Dustin, I don't have much money. I don't know where to invest. I don't know how to invest. I said, well, we should not think, because a lot of people say, should I just right now focus on saving money for investing? Like, no. Well, should I just focus on education? Like, no. Here's what you should do. You should try to do as many of them at the same time. So number one, get out of debt. At the same time, try to save money. But at the same time, learn as much as you can. At the same time, try to get around the right people. Like, do all this. It's not an or, it's an and. Let's try to do all this together. And at the same time, for you, Jason and Ian. So what I realized as I was coaching so many people would start at the beginning, and then they'd grow, and eventually they would grow to where they're starting to scale to become a more advanced investor, getting into 4 units and multifamily. And so what I realized was there was phases for real estate investors. So in the idea of like how you're running a mastermind, how I run my coaching is we have different phases. So there's the beginner phase, somebody just getting started. They're different than the ones that are at the last phase. There's 4 phases. And so the beginner phase, we're showing them how to build a business, how to make sure they have money or contacts to buy real estate. And so we also pair them up with other beginners. But then they graduate out of that beginner phase, and then they become inside of I call it the income builder phase, or income building phase, where they are now trying to get past the first property. They already got the first property as a beginner. Then you want to get past 4 to 6 properties, and then you get into the scaler. So beginner, mom and pop, where you're 4 or 5 properties, and you got to scale. So it goes phase 1, phase 2. Phase 3 is scaling to where you can get to 10, 20, 30 plus properties, because what got you 4 or 5 properties is not going to get you to 10, 20, 30 properties. We have to have systems and procedures and processes. And then once they get to scaling to where they're financially independent, that's when they graduate into the investor phase. That's when they're now doing passive investing. They're now getting apartment complexes. They have more money than time now. And so for me, what I've seen is I try to make sure every single phase and that journey that this investor is going on, I make sure to account for every single step. And so if somebody at the very beginning, they say, hey, Dustin, I don't have much money, I don't have education. Like, good, I have a free option. Get my free course. Literally download it, start learning now, start saving your money. But my opinion, we have to have something for us, like me, you, Jason, and Ian. What we want to do is have something for every point for them. So wherever they're at, we're going to be able to help them where they are.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. It's a great way to break down a lot of books, a lot of other courses that, take you through these journeys, take you through these paths. Let's kind of like stick around the beginner point. Right now in this market, presumably, everyone says it's the most challenging market. It's the most challenging market. It's impossible to find a deal. It's impossible to find money. What's your rebut to that? Because obviously you still have people performing. We're still performing on a high level. If you're a beginner today, where are we looking for deals? Where are we looking for money? Where are we looking to make moves?
Yeah. So I'll say first start by my oldest daughter. She's 16. I got 5 kids. She's 16. She bought her first rental property 3 months ago. Bought her first property. Now, obviously, I coached her, helped her out, and all that sort of stuff. But she got her money. She analyzed the property, learned all that sort of stuff. So if my daughter can do it, and let me say that, if I could do it, if we can do it, anybody can do it. It's really not rocket science. But here's what I'll say. When people are saying, well, Dustin, interest rates are high, prices are high, how are we going to find a property? In my opinion, I'm excited that interest rates went higher. I wanted interest rates to go even higher because here's the fun thing. When I invest in real estate, I don't pay the mortgage. I don't pay my taxes. I don't pay for property managers. I don't pay for repairs. I don't have to go get a job to pay for things. I make sure I buy a property so that all the expenses are paid for by the rents that come in. Now, that comes into me and I pay out all the bills. But let's say if I'm paying, well, let me give you a quick, smaller example. Let's say you have a candy bar business and you knew all day, every day, you could sell it for $1 and you could buy it for 50 cents. You're like, man, I want to buy as many candy bars as I can because I'll make 50 cents every single time. And that just like real estate investing, we want to make sure it's a business. We're making money every single month. Now, here's the great thing about real estate investing. Let's say you didn't even have that 50 cents. It cost you 25 cents to borrow 50. You're out of pocket 75 cents total. And you sell it for $1, you make 25 cents every time. So it doesn't matter how much you're paying in interest as long as you're making money in passive income. One quick last thing I'll say is what I love is when you invest for income. In fact, in 2006, when I first started investing, I was worried in 2008 when all these real estate investors were going bankrupt in 2008. But reason why they were going bankrupt is they were hoping for appreciation. They're hoping for the values to go up. I didn't. I was investing to build income. That's why I love the term income builder. I wanted to make money so I have financial independence. So I didn't have to work for somebody else to become successful and employed. And what I did was I bought every property, making sure I was going to make $200, $300, $400, $500, $800 a month in passive income. I still own all those properties and they make me money. But what I realized was you do not buy a candy bar for $2 if you could only sell it for $1. You'd lose money. Same thing with real estate investing. We don't buy a property unless it makes us money every single month. And one quick last thing I'll say, I'm excited that I make money if the market goes up, if the market goes down, or if the market goes sideways, because I invest for income. And also, one more quick last thing. There's no bad time to invest in real estate. I'll say that again. There's no bad time to invest in real estate. You might say interest rates are high, prices are high, it's a bad time. No. There's no bad time. There's only bad deals. Even in the best of times, lowest interest rates, lowest prices, they're going to be bad deals. They're going to lose you money. We do not buy those bad deals. And I love this proverb. When is the best time to plant a tree? Well, it was 20 years ago. The next best time is literally today. And so just like that, planting a tree, real estate investing is the same way. So for you listening, I don't want you to be listening to the Real Estate Reserve podcast and 20 years from now thinking, oh man, I was listening to Ian and Jason every single week and I should have started investing. No. You don't want to be that person. You want to be thinking, man, I'm so glad I listened to Ian and Jason. I started investing 20 years ago and look at me now. I'm financially independent. I don't have to work ever again.
Yeah, no, I think that's a lot to digest, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people are, you're going to listen to this, rewind it, listen to it again, and break it down because it is really just simple steps. We all take them every day. My part of the ecosystem is I buy them just like you. Jason's part of the ecosystem is, lending on properties, and that's where we get value. You bring up the team mentality, being able to reach out to guys like myself and you. Again, it's just team mentality, knowing and asking the people that see a lot of deals come through the front door. And I think it's a really good approach that people get away from because everybody thinks they can do it better. And you probably can do it better. Go do it better. But in the same sense, there's a lesson to be learned all the way through this. And you need to be able to understand what that is and listen to the people when they're telling you it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal, right? The Coke, in your candy bar analogy, Hershey's isn't going to allow you to buy the candy bar at a price that's not going to allow you to make money because they need the business to be open to continue to make money. Jason is not going to lend me or you money that is too much, that puts us underwater, that we cannot succeed, at least from his standpoint. However you want to raise money or put money in, that's your problem. But from his standpoint, he cannot lend you too much money that does not allow you to succeed, that then puts you in a deficit and a bad position. So,
well, and I'll quickly add that that's why I hire and find experts before I buy any real estate. I make sure that these experts, like everybody I borrow money from, to the property manager, to the inspectors, and I make sure everybody is okay with the property, or they say, hey, yes, this is a decent property, go ahead and get it, before I buy the real estate. And just like I said, I've got thousands of students now. I get students say, hey, Dustin, you invest in the city, you're the expert, tell me all about it. I'm like, no. Just because I have, let's say, 20 properties in this one city doesn't mean I'm the expert. I might know a little bit. I rely on the people that live there. I don't want to live there. I live in Nashville, near Nashville, Tennessee. But if I lived there, then I might be the expert. I don't want to be the expert, though. I want to hire the experts to save my time. Now I could go back to playing with my kids, travel in the world, do whatever I want.
But as we wrap up, what are kind of future goals, game plans? You know, we're all still young here. What motivates you? What's kind of the next step, you know, in growing your portfolio or you know, one of your businesses?
Yeah. So 2 parts to that. Number one, with real estate. So I have enough real estate now. I got plenty of money coming in. I'm just blessed. I don't have to work at all, which is great. But then I got 5 kids. And so now I paused for a little while and I didn't need to buy anymore. But then I realized I've got 5 kids. If I work hard now to buy properties and help them to buy their own properties, then I just have that much more that I can generationally give them, like just generationally, just keep passing on the property. So that's real estate. So I keep buying more real estate. Like I said, this year bought 325 unit apartment complex. Last year got 350. Just bought 3 or 4 single family homes this year. So I'm just constantly growing because I realize I can pass these to my kids, which is just a blessing, just cherry on the cake. So So with that, I realize also that more and more people want help investing in real estate. And so what I've realized, I'm a goal-oriented type of person. My first goal was quit my job in 10 years. So check, I was able to do that. But then I realized I need another goal. So I created a new goal. It's to help 1 million people to invest in real estate and hopefully become financially independent. And what's great about that, and I'm sure Jason and you guys both understand this, the more people that I serve reach their goal in that, the more money I make and the more money they make. The better their life gets and the better my life gets. And so I've realized the more I live in the service area of business, where I'm just trying to serve as many people as possible, give away as much as I can so that they can succeed, then they look at me and say, hey, Dustin, thank you so much for helping me. And I'm sure you guys have felt this. Like when I bought my first property, it was an accomplishment, but I felt like I needed more accomplishment. I didn't feel fulfilled. When I quit my job, same thing. When I helped my first student buy their first property and they said, Dustin, thank you so much for helping me, I felt fulfilled. Like I felt it wasn't an accomplishment for me. It was an accomplishment for them, but I felt like I helped another human being get what they most wanted in life. And then now when they quit their job, it's even better. So I just try to live in, how do I serve as many people as possible?
Yeah, man, get them all out of the matrix. I'm all for it.
Totally.
Go explore new dimensions. You know, as government workers, I respect it and understand your initial mission. Same thing. I wrote down a goal. Hey, I want to retire by the time I'm 40, 39 years old, left the fire department, gone. You know, you start writing that stuff down, you manifest it. It's real. Jason and I both carry an I Want book on our desks. I journal in it every day. Pretty sure Jason journals in it every day. And guys, it's real powerful stuff. That's probably a whole nother episode, a whole nother conversation that we could really, really get lost in. So we want to be respectful of Dustin's time. Dustin, where's the best place people can find you on the internet? They want to learn more about what you're doing. We know you throw some big events, and they want to check out everything you're doing and join the plan. Oh,
totally. Thanks a lot. Would you mind if I give everybody a free course just for free?
Sure.
Awesome. So if I just want to help you to invest in real estate, get it for free. I've got so many people just investing just from this one course for free. Text the word rental, RENTAL, rental to 33777. Very simple. Rental to 33777. Or you go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. All one word, masterpassiveincome.com/free course. I'll give it to you, show you how to invest anywhere in the country. I invest out of state. We love investing out of state, how to build the business, how to get the experts, how to scale your business to become financially independent. You could even follow me on Master Passive Income Podcast anywhere. In fact, so it's just like 90%. It's just a solo show. Me just teaching you how to do this. You can find me on YouTube, Master Passive Income. Look up Dustin Heiner and Master Passive Income. One other quick last one. So we do have our conference, but you could also follow me on Instagram. I just hit over 100,000 followers on Instagram. So the Dustin Heiner, THE Dustin Heiner. Reach out to me, send me a DM. I love chatting with people. I just want to see you succeed in anything I could do. If you want my free book, go to my site, get my book for free, all that sort of stuff. But I really appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you on. Guys, we'll get all of that down in the show notes. Make sure you go down and check it out. And if you got any value out of this, if you don't want to take the free offer and you want to give it to your friends, share it with them. That's what we care about. Dustin just poured his heart out to us. We appreciate that. We don't care about the likes or subscribes. We do care about the shares. It's the best compliment we can give Dustin. And guys, we will catch you on the next.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.